Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Maybe someone can bring a little book for... What is your good name? You speak English?
Yes.
Where are you from?
Germany.
Oh, nice. And your good name?
Anna.
Anna. Easy name. Nice one. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopijana Balaba Girivardhari. Gopijana Balaba Girivardhari. Yasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Thira Vanachari. Yamuna Thira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Om Vishnu Bharaparamamsa Parivrajaka Tataya Satishla A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Shri Gaunitai Ki, Shri Krishna Balaram Ki, Shri Radha Govinda Madhava Ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Gaura Premanandi. All glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to Sri Guru and Grand, all glorious to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Sanyavare Astyachare Shatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I believe it's text number 16, is that correct? And we're continuing here, associating with the Brahmanas. Brahmanas, the spiritual heads of the ashrams, supposed to be giving spiritual guidance in society. Priests, we say in the West. Please repeat. Gavaha, Sarvaguna, Upetaha, Vasaha, Shrak, Rukmamalinihi, Atmaja Abhyuttaya, Artaya, Pradat, Te, Cha, Anvayunjata, Gavaksavaganopeeta, Vasakshragrukmamalinahe, Atmajavyudayataya, Pradate Chanvayunjata, Gavaksavaganopeeta, Vasakshragrukmamalinihi, Atmajavyudayataya, Pradate Chanvayunjata, Gavaksavaganopeeta, Vasakshragrukmamalinihi, Atmajavyudayataya, Pradate Chanvayunjata. Pradate Chanvayunjata.
Gava sarva gunopeta,
Vasakshragrukmamalini, Atmajavyudayataya, Pradate Chanvayunjata. You ladies. Gavaksavaganopeeta, Vasakshragrukmamalinihi, Atmajavyudayataya, Pradate Chanvayunjata. Gavaksavaganopeeta, Vasakshragrukmamalinihi, Atmajavyudayataya, Pradate Chanvayunjata. Gavaha, cows. Sarvaguna upetaha, being fully qualified by giving sufficient milk, etc. Vasaha, well dressed. Shrak, with flower garlands. Rukmamalinihi, and with garlands of gold. Atmaja, we'll just say one at a time. Atmaja, Abhyudaya, Artaya, for the purpose of his son's affluence. Pradat, gave in charity. Te, those brahmanas, cha, also, and the yunjata, accepted them. Can you hear? Is it too loud, too quiet, or what?
It's too loud for some and too low for others.
So what shall I do?
There you go.
What should we do? It's too loud for some and too quiet for others. Is it okay? Okay. Awesome. Nanda Maharaj, for the sake of the affluence of his own son Krishna, gave the Brahmanas cows fully decorated with garments, flower garlands, and gold necklaces. These cows, fully qualified to give ample milk, were given to the Brahmins in charity, and the Brahmins accepted them and bestowed blessings upon the whole family, and especially upon Krishna. Good? Wow. An amazing verse. And there's an amazing purport. Well, to Anna, this is probably a strange topic. Who is Nanda? What is this? Giving cows? Garlanded? Usually the cows are not just garlanded, they're not just good milkers, but they'll have like silver hooves and golden horns and silk drapes and very opulent. You see paintings of this. You don't generally see very often a cow these days like that. But we gather from these verses from the ancient scriptures which we're reading here, that in days of yore, that means a long time ago, there was a different kind of opulence. Today, opulence in society probably, what does it mean? Money? Some expensive gadget, a watch or a fancy Porsche car or a big house or something like that. And you have a lot of money in the bank or somewhere. Maybe you've got some gold, but not very often. In this culture, a long time ago, opulence, wealth was judged differently according to the different situation of life. For instance, here we're hearing about Brahmins. What are Brahmins? What are they? What are they? Yes, Jace?
The upper priestly class, Maharaj.
Okay, they're the upper priestly caste, or class rather, same thing in most people's minds. Yeah, they're supposed to be, isn't it? When we say upper, that probably doesn't sound too good to most people, but depending on how we look at it. But the priestly caste. So what are they supposed to do? I mean, are they just paid? My brother was an accountant, and he used to do the accounts for the church. Hold on, I haven't finished yet. The church, my brother was an agnostic. I didn't believe in God, but one of his best mates was the vicar, the priest. They used to play golf and go to the pub together. So he asked my brother if he could do the accounts for the church because they were having some problems with their finances. So he agreed, and he said to his mate, he said, well, I don't mind whatever his name is. Of course we're buddies, but I don't believe in God. And the priest said, I'm not sure if I do either, but it's a good paying job, and I don't have to do much. Is that the role of a priest? You have a comfortable life and a reasonable salary, a nice house, and, good pension. And you can drink, and you can smoke, and you can go to the golf course, and you can do what you like. You just have to say the right thing at the right time. Well, what's the priest A Brahmin? Oh, you don't need to answer.
He works for the welfare of others.
Okay, there's a nice, you could say, selfless perspective. He is living for the welfare of others, okay? Yes, Jason.
He gives guidance to the Kshatriya class, which is the ruling class.
Okay, he gives guidance to those who are supposed to be in leadership, the government, whatever they are. And of course to other people as well, but particularly responsibility, because those who are in ruling positions, they have quite a responsibility in society to influence people's minds, to facilitate their needs, to protect them, so many things. And most important, and there's a big difference here between perhaps modern, what we call modern, and more, at least in terms of this situation, traditional society where there's a higher purpose in life, isn't there? What is that higher purpose? It's not just to make a nice society where you're thinking of the welfare of others and you're protecting them, providing and so on. What is another purpose in society?
Develop Krishna Prema.
Well, that's a pretty high purpose, but it's correct. It's Krishna Prema means pure love of God. So in between the situation of the normal situation, so to speak, and that perfection of life is to give spiritual guidance, isn't it? Not just material guidance. To help people. Now, the Brahmins are supposed to be very intelligent, aren't they? Now, intelligent doesn't mean they know how to make, a spacecraft, or they know how to, some scientific thing. They may not know that. What does it mean when it's said that they're supposed to be very intelligent? What does it mean? They've got a PhD? Maybe. You two are very enthusiastic here. Yes, Christopher?
They surrender to the right authorities.
Well, that's a nice perspective too. In one sense, yes, and in one sense you could say yes or no, but yes in the real sense, because they are receiving everybody receives some kind of guidance, some kind of direction. Everyone's got some kind of higher authority, like it or not. The nature itself may be our authority, but everyone has an authority, something we have to submit to or receive information from. And the children, the parents give us guidance, then the teachers, and maybe we go to college and we hear this and that, and you can accept or reject. But we're hearing from some kind of authority. We make up our concepts, our desires, and so many things, and how we see the world is formulated. So the Brahmins, particularly when you say the right authority, they hear from scriptures, they hear from other learned spiritual authorities. And ultimately they're meant to be tuned in, you could say, to the higher purpose of life, which is God or self-realization in society. Not that they just know things, they should also have some understanding of the value and the purpose behind what they know. If we look at the Bhagavad Gita, for instance, there are some verses, at least one in the Bhagavad Gita, who knows where that is, describing a little bit about the qualities of a Brahmana. Do you remember?
16th chapter?
Who knows? 18th chapter, and which verse number?
30.
Pardon?
30-something.
30-something, 50-something, maybe 20-something, perhaps 70-something, maybe 80-something. There's a new verses are now appeared in the Bhagavad Gita. Anyone else like to? If you go between 1 and I think it's 76 verses, is it? 78 verses. You have 78 chances. Eventually you'll get the right one. Number 42. Number 42, okay? 1842. And those who are taking Brahminical, we have an initiation we call Brahminical initiation into the responsibility of the services of. There's two things with Brahmins. One is the service they do in society, but most important, and this verse deals with the more important part of it. The more important part is the attitude, the quality of your consciousness. You know, anyone can learn something, not anyone, but you may be able to learn this thing and that thing and speak it. You may be able to do something on the altar, right? Anyone can do. I was reading yesterday, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said Shudras, that's a working class in society, are qualified for deity worship without mantra. Anyone can do it. Anyone. It doesn't mean you're a Brahmana. A Brahmana is by quality, not by what they do. That's what they do. They do also. They have every part of society, every part of the body has things to do. Take the hand. What is the duty of the hand? What's its job?
To feed the mouth.
To what? Steal?
Feed the mouth.
Feed the mouth. Okay, that's one of it you could say. We know what level you're on. Anamoya level. Huh? You're on the first level of self-realization. Anamoya, food. All you're thinking about is food. Okay, but it's true. Generally, you can eat without your hands somewhat. Not totally dependent on your hands. Yes, another one.
Working and writing.
Working, writing, all sorts of things, picking things up. Huh? It's a very useful thing, the hand. Now, what if the hand is diseased? It's not so useful, huh? What's that? What is that? Oh, well, here we go. Look, not diseased, but the hand is not working normally, is it? Is it working normally?
Then you need a servant.
Huh?
Then you need a servant.
You need a servant. Well, you're lucky you've got one. You've got a very good servant. Your master is now your servant. How Krishna shows us how, what to do. We can't depend on these things, but normally, if the hand is diseased or it misbehaves, it's not very helpful, is it? It's kind of cooperates, so it has its part to play. Every part of the body has a... So the Brahmins have part to play, but it's got to be in a healthy condition also. You can't, you can't pick much up with your present left hand. Left hand, isn't it? Left hand. You can't, pick things up. It's very difficult. You can't write, maybe. You can't, I don't know if you can write, but it's very difficult. It's a hand. It's still there. It's a hand. But it's not much use if it's not behaving properly. So you maybe have a thread. This is called, I don't know if any of you have seen these, it's not a key, it's not a bit of string for keys to be put on, although many of us do. This is called a Brahmin thread. Now anyway, you can buy these for, how much are they now? They've gone up in price now, they're quite expensive. How much is a packet of Brahmin threads these days? 30 rupees? Huh?
10 rupees.
Huh?
10 rupees.
10, that's pretty cheap. Pretty low-class Brahmin threads. I think we paid 30 rupees for a packet last year, I can't remember. Something like that, Anyone can buy them and anyone can put it on. But that doesn't mean, you can also, do as you wish. You can start worshipping the deities, you can start asking for charity, you can read the books and speak something. But that in itself doesn't make you, just putting on the uniform of a policeman, does that make you a policeman? You've got I don't know if they have guns in this country, but some countries they have guns. You've got your gun in your holster, you've got the badge on, you've got the cap on, you've got the suit on. But does that, maybe people think you are a policeman, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're authorized. You might be, you might not be. And even if you're authorized, you have to behave according to a set of codes, isn't it? You can't just do what you like. You've got to follow the standard. So the standard of Brahmins is interesting. It says here, peacefulness. Peacefulness, all these are big subjects, huh? Peacefulness, self-control, austerity. Think about it. I mean, they're each one subject matter. Purity, cleanliness, purity. Tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmins work. They work by quality. They don't work necessarily, they use their hands, they use their legs, they use everything. Their intelligence, everything is used, like anyone else. But mainly it's the quality which they work in, the consciousness, their attitude. Not everyone has those qualities. Others you can see. How do the leaders, the government men, the kings? Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity and leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. You can see there's a little mix there between attitude and activity. It's not just the attitude. There's battle, leadership, generosity. There's a bit of action involved here. You see, it's like Nanda Maharaj. Now Nanda Maharaj he's a mixture between a king and a Vaishya. Vaishyas are like the business members of society, the farmers, businessmen like that. He's a king amongst the Vaishyas. So how do they work? Farming. Where's our farmer? Here he is. Farmer. He was a Brahmin a couple of years ago, weren't you? You're not a Brahmin anymore, you're a Vaishya now, or a Shudra maybe. You became, is it Shudra or Vaishya? Vaishyas are meant to make a lot of money. They're meant to make a lot of wealth. Where's the wealth? You have to organize hundreds of people in the farm. That's
I tried 10 organized today.
Huh?
I tried to organize 10 people today.
10 today, okay. Everyone is welcome. Today is Krishna, 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 Krishna. Hey! It's Hay Day today. Not May Day, it's Hay Day. Today they're gathering all the hay and making bales, our own hay for the cows, or from the farm. So everyone who's Krishna Charana Vinod, you should be out there 10 o'clock. You look like you're ready for hay baling. It's hay baling day today, the Vaishya's business. They organize people to do these things. So today is hay baling. 10 o'clock, yes. Meeting at Nimal's house, near there.
Field near Nirmal. The
field behind Nirmal Prabhu's house. So everyone's welcome. It's great service, serving the cows, serving Krishna. You're all welcome. Those who are free, up to it. And it looks like it's going to be a nice day, so no excuses there. Bring your hat if it's a little sunny. So that's how do they? Farming, cow protection and business. There's no mention of attitude there. Farming, cow protection, that doesn't give you an excuse, by the way, to behave like a, okay, you're a Vaishnava. Vaishnava's another thing, you can do any of these things if you're in the mood of a devotee, but you should have the qualities also of a Vaishnava, which are even more than the Brahmin qualities. And for the workers, or the Shudras, there's labor and service to others. Every part is important. It's just that different people are different. They play their part. And the business of the Vaishya, it's not developed here, but is basically what you're hearing today, for the sake of the affluence of his own son. Now, affluence usually means material wealth, as we mentioned earlier, and that is generally the case. Parents are always concerned for their children's health. They're always concerned for their protection and future, isn't it? Always. It's totally normal. It's natural. And then, so in a Vedic society, nowadays we have life insurance, you have all kinds of different things to try to secure your child's future. Our education system, medical systems, different things are there. In the Vedic society there was another added factor. It's not so prominent today anywhere in the world. It may be there more in some places, but not much now. Even when I was a kid, which is a couple of days ago, no, I was still one, but a few years ago when we were classified as a kid, which is 70 years ago, young kid, 4 or 5 years old, there were still superstitions. We call them superstitions. You've heard of superstitions? Do you know that word? Yes. Is it the same in French, superstition? More or less. Most of the words ending in ION in English have their exact word in French. Mostly. There's thousands of English words coming from French or vice versa, almost the same, pronounced differently, and maybe slightly different spelling, but not much. So superstitions, the grandmother, she'll do things like, lick her thumb and put it on your head. Oh, funny things, In Western world, there were some superstitions, were still there, coming from who knows where. Now, this is not a superstition. This is a shastric directive to householders, that householders, that means married people, grihastas, one thing they must do is give charity. Now, why? Why? Why should I give charity? I worked for that money. I don't know if you did or didn't, but some people do. But why do you have to give charity?
You get purified in that way.
Purifies. Okay, that's mentioned perhaps here or somewhere, but definitely mentioned. It purifies. Purifies what?
The work, the fruits.
Okay, it purifies our work. Now, doesn't make much sense if you're from the Western world. Okay, people give charity. Let's look at it another way. How do they feel when they give charity?
Detachment.
Detached? In the Western mentality, maybe some, but I don't think generally speaking an ordinary person feels detached. Yes?
They feel more like, they feel like themselves are better.
Okay, it could be a little pride there, a little pride. They feel good, I gave charity. Maybe they want to advertise the charity, isn't it? I gave to the Society for, Protection of Whales. I don't mean the country, I mean the animal. The country probably needs more protection than the animals. I don't know about that, but the whales. There's a society to look after whales, and I gave protection for something, charity for cancer, or isn't it? Mostly it's material, objective, for a material purpose. And you may feel proud about it. You may get, what happens then? People, oh, he's very charitable, very nice person. You feel good. That's normally the case. That's not always the case. Sometimes you regret it, don't you? I wish I never gave it. There was cheating going on, or I got forced into it. You're not always feeling that, but that's the general mood. It's a material one, this way or that one. In this Vedic society, it is the material side, but there's also the spiritual side. Now, when you said purification, what do you mean by that? That doesn't generally come in people's minds when they give charity. I'm becoming purified. Maybe some pious people think, it makes me feel better, as a better person or whatever. Jason.
So an aspect of Karma Yoga Maharaj, Krishna says that you can give the fruits of your work, and this is Karma Yoga.
Yeah, it reduces your karma. Okay, is that what you mean?
It's a way of connecting with God.
Well, it may not be. You may not be aware of that. You may believe in karma, but may not believe in God. Or if you do, you may even not really know what that means. Some kind of mythology or something. Most people do not believe in God. But they may believe in karma, and they may believe in, piety and so on and so forth. I mean, the whole Buddhist religion and most of the Hindu religion. And most Westerners, we don't really believe in God, but you believe by doing good, you get something good back, huh? That's common. Do unto others as you'd have done unto yourself. This, of course, is Christian Bible statement, but is accepted by many people like that. Now, karma, it's natural inside people's hearts. They feel it. You feel bad when you do something to hurt people. You may have that tendency, but it's not really a good feeling. It's something deep inside us all. What else is there? Now, where were we going there? Karma, you mentioned karma. So, okay, it releases us of karma. Everything we do in this world has a karmic reaction. That's a scientific law. That's not some dogmatic statement. That is according to the law of science. Every single action has a reaction, scientifically. Breathing has a reaction on the whole universe. It may not be very recognizable, but it does. Everything has a reaction. So, definitely, that's kind of accepted in society, although it's not understood why. It's accepted that if you do some good, you kind of sort of think you're going to get something good back. If you're pious, religious, you might think, I'll go to heaven, I'll get a better life in the next life, or I'll have, feel better, or something like that. What else? It's kind of a big subject, really. You don't remember? We're in New Mayapur, in France. It's near Lucé-le-Marle. Okay, so giving charity. What else is there? Okay, we've covered karma, feeling good, wanting to get recognized, wanting to help other people. Right? It's a bit more open. You want to help others, isn't it? That's what charity normally meant to be, is to help others who are in difficulty, isn't it? Whether it's humans or animals, even the environment. I mean, people are becoming aware that we should look after the environment. And there's many charities to protect the trees, to protect the whatever it is, the environment in different ways. Yeah.
So they redistribute the resources.
Could be. Whether it's proper or not. I mean, it doesn't always work like that. But that may be part of it, so that what they say, take from the rich and give to the poor. Robin Hood. Huh? Robin Hood. I don't know if they do that nowadays. And they take from the poor and give to the rich. A lot of people say like that. I don't know. Redistribution of the resources. To some extent. Okay, that's a kind of a bit of a technical one.
They are a good person.
Yeah, that we mentioned that already, actually. To feel good. Feeling of good, yeah. Pride.
Taxes, Maharaj.
Huh?
Pay less taxes.
There's a realistic one, isn't it? I just got a letter from the Paris temple. People give me charity. One of the activities of a Brahmin is that they receive charity, but they don't keep it. They don't keep it. Like, now I can go for a holiday in Hawaii. Buy a big house, a big car. I can have a big bank. No, that is not a Brahmin. That's something else altogether. That's a miser. Now, another factor of charity is it's specifically stated, I think it's in the 7th canto, but it states there that you can become free of miserliness by giving charity. Miserliness means think, I own it. It's mine. It's mine. The whole word, knowledge or no knowledge of the subject, is in this mentality of possessiveness. And in Grihastha life, of course, no, I'm sure none of you, those who are married, and not many of you are married, Sita Priya and Vishabhanu, and you're like vanaprasthas, you have nothing now. You just live on, you just eat some roots and shoots from the forest. And I see today, because you came to the temple, you put on some normal clothes, but I see normally you're wearing tree bark when I see you in your mud hut over there, and you're just eating, some roots and shoots. Is that right? Don't tell anyone. I wouldn't put it beyond you. You'll see him today with his bark dhoti, wearing a dhoti made of tree bark. What to do? Don't get too many ideas there. But yeah, Where are we going there? The charity, miserliness. Generally speaking, grihastas tend, not all, they tend to accumulate. Accumulate. Your house is full up with so many things. Toys, room full of toys. 100, 500 toys, and none of them, one day throw it out the window, next day smash the next one, throw it in your face. The toys all become rubbish after a while. And so many books, you never even open them. And so many trinkets and utensils, 500 cups, all with different insignias on, and different things. The house is full of it. Cutlery, clothing, 40 pairs of shoes, you name it. And then somebody asks, excuse me, could you give a donation? No, I've got no money. I need it. I got to go and buy, they all the time we see on the street, isn't it? Could you give a little donation? And I have no money. And they're there with their big bags full of all sorts of goodies, shopping like anything with their fur coat on and all this and that, Miserliness is to free us of this self-centered, miserly mentality of thinking, this is mine. This is the basic, besides the illusion of who I am. And that's another thing a Brahmin is supposed to do. He's supposed to know who he is. Supposed to know who you are. And you're supposed to help others realize who they are too. And to whom does everything belong? What does the Ishopanishad say? To whom does everything belong? What's that famous verse in Ishopanishad? Ishavasya sarvam yat kinchit jagat tena chaktena punjita magadakasya svidanam. You should know to whom everything belongs. So real charity is not, there's a very famous little example Prabhupada gives. It's called charity amongst thieves, or honesty amongst thieves. You send everybody out, okay, today, Prabhus, Matas, you all have to go out today, and you have to rob the bank, and rob the houses, and steal as much as you can, and come back tonight, okay? This is not an order. This is an example. It's definitely not an order. Don't get it wrong. We are not giving an order. And we'd be in big trouble if it were. No, but get the idea. The head of the dacoit sends them all out to do. This is a fact. These things are there. There are, different groups in the world today which have such. In South America, it's quite common, and all over the world, it's everywhere. Ringleaders, and they send people out to, whatever, different scams and what have you. Then they all come back with the booty, with the whatever you've got. Okay, put it all on the table. Now we're going to divide this fairly amongst each of us. Fairly. Everyone's going to get their cut. Honesty amongst thieves. And the word is basically honesty amongst thieves. It doesn't belong to us to give in charity. This is the basic point of charity, is to gradually, it doesn't happen overnight, just like we see in the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Who knows those verses? 17th chapter, page 788 or something like that. Here it is. Huh? Not quite. 17th chapter.
Which verse?
Giving in charity. There are 3 or 4 verses in a row here. 17, 20. Charity, giving out of duty without expectation of return. At the proper time and place, and to a worthy person, is considered to be in a mode of goodness. I'll just read the purport. In the Vedic literature, charity given to a person engaged in spiritual activity is recommended. That's considered the best thing to do with charity. So generally householders are recommended to give charity, especially to the Brahmins. They're supposed to be engaged in spiritual activity, the highest purpose of human life. Talking about welfare, protection, and so on, is to help human society evolve to the spiritual platform. Is to help others to realize I'm not the body and realize who I am. That's their duty. That is considered in cultured societies traditionally as the most important thing in society. So you give charity. Why? Because then you get, as we see in this particular section, then you get blessings. The Lord is very happy when you do that. You're giving up your so-called wealth, and you're giving it for a spiritual purpose, to help deliver people from birth and death. There is no recommendation for giving charity indiscriminately. Now you go on the street in Paris, although at the moment maybe not, because the government has just removed 25,000 street people from Paris. And they might find a few of them around here. They're dispersing them all over the country. Because the Olympics are coming up. And they don't want them hanging out in Paris during the Olympics. Bear that in mind. So, but normally in Paris, there are no end of people who are hanging out on the street, hoping for some, funding from the public. Lying there, sometimes they come and push you and lie there and, with their dogs and what have you, lying around. So people may give for various reasons. They've got a little soft heart, but it's not the best use of charity. They're using it mostly, not always, but mostly for almost always, for activity which just causes more suffering. Even if they eat food, which is very reasonable, they should do. But even that entangles one further in material life. What to speak of liquor and cigarettes and so on. Spiritual perfection is always a consideration, at least in cultured societies. It was such an important thing. Therefore, charity is recommended to be given at a place of pilgrimage, a spiritual place, at a lunar or solar eclipse, an auspicious time, anyway, it goes on, or to a qualified brahmana, or a devotee of the Lord, or to a temple, in the West, a church, or a mosque, or whatever it's supposed to be. Such charity should be given without any consideration of return. If you think about a return, you want the return, then you become implicated again in a reaction. You may get a return. I mean, there's directives there. If you give ordinary charity to a person, you get the same back. If you give to a Brahmin, you get back, 100 times or something. If you give a very qualified Brahmin, you get 10,000 times the return. To a Vaishnava, you get unlimited return. That means you don't get anything material in return. Be careful. You get delivered from the material world. You don't think you're going to get a Porsche, Porsche car. You win a Porsche car. I just gave money to the temple, Where's my money? Where's my wealth? What happened? I was supposed to get a return. Yeah, you get a return ticket back to the spiritual world. Charity to the poor is sometimes given out of compassion, but if a poor man is not worth giving charity to, then there is no spiritual advancement. In other words, indiscriminate charity is not recommended. There's another level here. Any kind of charity in one sense, depending on the giver and their position, has some benefit. Because at least you're giving something. There's a famous example with this one man. He was such a miser. He wouldn't give to anyone. He was super rich. And he really did not like beggars or priests or anything, anybody who was expecting charity. He detested it. He just wanted to get rid of them. Go away! Work! Do your own! Leave me alone! He was a real miser. He had so much wealth, but he never really used it much. So one day, one kind-hearted, pure-hearted Brahmin came to his house and knocked on the door. "Who is at the door?" he said to his servant. His servant said, "It's one of those spiritual beggars." "How are we going to get rid of these guys forevermore?" "Hey, go to the fire. Get a bucket of burning ashes." And when you go to the door, because traditionally, you see, this piece of cloth is terre. Where's it gone? Did I forget to put it on? No, it's here. Here it is. This piece of cloth was meant for begging, for receiving charity. That's why you wear it. Don't imitate. But this is what it's for. Only Brahmins are allowed to receive charity in society. Only. Others are maintained by the government or by the Vaishyas. But Brahmins can ask charity. So this Brahmin was there with his cloth out. Give him this bucket of ashes, burning ashes. So the Brahmin was there. He knocked on the door. He said, "Oh, hold on there. My boss said he's going to give you something. Hold on." You know, you stand at the door sometimes, knock, and they say, "Hold on." And they don't come back, or don't know what to do. Anyway, he came back. And he had this bucket, and he said, "Just hold your cloth out." And he poured the burning cinders into his cloth. His cloth went up in flames. He managed to throw it off before it burned him. And he thought, this will get rid of them forevermore. The Brahmin said, "Thank you so much for your kind gift." The miserly man couldn't understand what he's talking about. "What do you mean? This is going from bad to worse. Now he's thanking me for this." "Why do you say that?" He said, "My dear sir, this is the first time in your whole life you have given anything to anyone. Never mind what it was. You gave something. Your, good fortune has begun." Now don't imitate that. But you can see the mind of a Brahmin. He's always thinking of the welfare of others. He's always giving blessings. He has no animosity towards anyone, even if they hate him, even if they want to kill him. He has no animosity. He's always thinking for the welfare of others. In every situation, you see that with Jesus, even on the cross, he's thinking of the welfare of those persons who are trying to kill him. This is the nature. No, he's more than a Brahmin. Of course he is. But still it's a Brahminical tendency. It's a Vaishnava tendency. It's a devotee attitude. And that is what's required in society. Not just walking around with threads, doing things. But it's the consciousness which is required. It's all about consciousness. Raising the consciousness in the human life. You may not be able to do it with other species. Maintenance of the other species is very important and must be done. But their consciousness rarely can change in that particular condition. But in human life, consciousness can change. And it's the Brahmin's role. Blessings doesn't just mean some artificial, "I bless you, you live a long life. I bless you, your child will be healthy and happy." Of course, that they may do, and people in general, that's what they expect. But that's not the real blessing of a Brahmin. The real blessing of a Brahmin, when Prabhupada was on the train in India one time, he was in his compartment and some quite well-to-do Indian businessmen came to see him. "Swamiji," he called him, "Swamiji, please give us your blessings." Of course they were expecting, "I bless you, get very rich, I bless you, your son will become very successful," that sort of thing, But Prabhupada was together with two or three of his disciples, and they were what's called sannyas, that's this type of dress, supposed to be practicing total dedication to devotional service, and they'd given up family, they'd given up everything for service. So Prabhupada said, I bless you to become like them. "Oh, no, Swamiji, please, no. People are so attached in this world. So the blessings of a Brahmin is to at least step by step help release them. So when they receive charity off you, that's a blessing. It's a blessing if they're qualified. Because if they're qualified, they'll use it for service of God. They use it for because they don't keep it. They'll use it. What they'll do, at least here's a practical example. They'll use it and they'll cook a feast to offer to Krishna, and the food then becomes sanctified, and they distribute it to everyone. That's the best charity you can give. Whenever you go out, carry a little bit of prasadam, some peanuts which are offered to Krishna, something. And if anyone asks you, give them some prasadam. Even if they don't ask you, give them some prasadam. That's the best form of charity. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said to his own disciples, they one time asked him, it's a holy place, no doubt, but they asked him, is it right that grihasthas, we should give in charity to beggars? Because they're not using it in Krishna's service. Exactly. We're supposed to use everything for Krishna, right? Belongs to him. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, you'd expect him to say, no, you should give it to the right person in the right place. Well, that may have been the right person in the right place, no doubt. But if you don't give charity, you, as grihasthas, will become misers. You will become envious and selfish. You'll think this belongs to me. You must give charity. What you give is another thing. So for a Vaishnava, we give food. Prasadam. We give sanctified food. And just like a Brahmin giving education, he has to know his Goswami. Now, who is more of a qualified Vaishnava Brahmin than Sanatana Goswami? And he's going around the villages. He's not telling them you're not the body necessarily. You should surrender. No. He's saying, and he's talking to them on the level they're on. Even giving them some advice in their daily lives to improve their agricultural production and so on. He's reciprocating, and they love him. And then they inquire, and in this way they give some, maybe a little charity, and they get so much benefit by serving a Brahmin, by serving the representative. Namo Brahman, they're so dear to God. We're here to please God, and by serving the devotees of the Lord, giving welfare, giving charity, giving cows. Now giving cows is not very popular these days. I get cows donated here, or maybe you had many in the past. But oftentimes it's not in the right attitude. It's not because I don't want to look after them anymore. I can't do it. That's wrong. If you accept the responsibility for a child, you don't just give the kid away because you can't look after it anymore. Some people do. But that's not right. Same with cows. If you take cows, you've got to look after them. That's an absolute responsibility. It's not just come and take and go as you like. It's absolute responsibility. Same with deities. You don't just, let's have deities. Get all the deities. Oh, there are all these deities. Here you go, there's all the deities. Well, who's going to look after them? That's your problem. Well, you should have asked in the first place. It's not my problem. You brought the deities. It's not a problem at all. But, if you look at it like that, you've got to take that responsibility. It's not a joke, come and take as you wish. One day, I don't want to do it anymore. It's not like that. This is God. It's not just a stone. It's a form of God. God is, we were saying, we're just kind of semi-joking. People say, God is everywhere. What do you need a temple for? God is everywhere. Right? And I said, you may be everywhere, but you cannot see him anywhere. Let's be honest. You cannot see him anywhere. It's just lip service only. If you could see him anywhere, you would be behaving differently. You cannot see him anywhere, even though he's everywhere. Therefore, the Lord appears in a form where you can see him. In the form of the deity, to receive your service, to help remind us who is, the object of our lives. So everything in Vedic culture was geared towards that ultimately. Whether it was on a lower level of charity, and charity here is mentioned, charity performed with the expectation of some return, which is usually the case, or with a desire for fruitive results, or in a grudging mood, is said to be charity in the mode of passion. Quite common. And charity performed at an impure place, at an improper time, to unworthy persons, or without proper attention and respect, is said to be in a mode of ignorance, which is also very common. passion and ignorance are very common. However, in the 18th chapter, I know what page, what verse number this is. It's in the 18th chapter somewhere. Where is that verse? Here it is. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. It's a matter of knowing what that means and where, when, and how charity is to be given. In other words, how does it purify even great souls? What charity do they give? What charity do they receive? We've already mentioned that. Distributing prasadam, distributing books about Krishna consciousness or the philosophy, distributing the holy name, establishing centers here and there where people can come and, at least begin their spiritual path. Just like here, many come, just like Anna. How long are you staying, Anna?
3 weeks.
Nice one. So, we hope you have a nice experience, something you can take away with you when you go wherever you're going to go. It begins, or it carries on with whatever spiritual progress. This is charity. This is the real meaning. It's to give people that which... Everyone in the material world is suffering. Everyone in the material world is in some degree or another in difficulty. Everyone. We have to die for sure, even if other things aren't so bad. Nobody can avoid it. So charity is to help relieve people of things they don't want, or suffering, or things which are causing them suffering. They may not know that, but that's what it's for. To relieve them of not just their immediate distress, but the causes of their distress too. So a great soul, that's what they're thinking about. The welfare of others is not just their physical welfare, but their emancipation, their freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Huh? So they're always thinking how to do that according to the level that the person's on. Preaching isn't words, preaching is actions as well. Some activity. I've seen many times just a little incident, just take this as a little example. There's an old lady trying to cross the road. She's having difficulty, or he's having difficulty. What do? I'm too busy, you walk by. Anyway, they're in Maya. What's the use of helping them? They're in Maya. Anyway, if they get across the road, what gain is there in that? I've got more important business. You might think like that. And maybe you can't do anything. Sometimes it's not within our capacity. But say it's within your capacity. What will you do? What will you do, Jason?
Prabhupada said, always be a gentleman first.
Gentleman. One of the characteristics of a Vaishnava, Prabhupada said, at least those, when we say gentleman, maybe not fully understood, but it can be understood on all levels. The normal understand, gentleman, very polite, very kind, very, nice to people and what have you. So devotees should be like that. You may be on a realized platform, it will be understood a little differently, but when dealing with the material world, yes, it's how you act. Religious principles are established by the behavior of the devotee. That's the statement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They're established by the behavior, not by, going to church, but by the behavior.
You may get the opportunity while you're taking the lady across to say something.
Well, you may get the opportunity of various things. Sometimes they won't let you do it sometimes. But if they let you help them across the road, then even if you say nothing, you just help them. It's a small thing, small act. Doesn't take much time. We're not doing it for the material reason. We're doing it. They're humans. They're God's parts and parcels. We're all equal spiritually. So why should one of God's parts and parcels be unnecessarily suffering? If we can help them, so be it. Now, what will they think if they see your Hare Krishna? Their opinion of Hare Krishna before was probably not very good. And then you help them across the road. What do you think they'll think? They're not so bad after all. They're not bad people, isn't it? And then they'll tell their grandchildren, oh, the Hare Krishnas aren't too bad. They helped me across the road when I was in trouble last week. They're quite nice people. So you're indirectly preaching, aren't you? Not that we spend a whole day doing that, looking for people, But if it so happens to be there, don't be rude. That's the best thing to do. Many little things like that. Even when you're on Harinam, standing right in front of someone's front door to their shop is not very good pub preaching. It's really bad. The person really thinks, damn these Hare Krishna, they should be banned. They're just nuisance. You've got to bear these things in mind. How it affects other people as well. Anything else? This is a big topic, we've hardly touched the surface.
So, Maharaj just spoke about giving the holy name as a charity, and so we have to use some common sense, no? Not just go anywhere and chant the holy name, like we should consider where we are going when we want to go and chant outside?
Well, you definitely should, you should know where you are. Earlier on you said you didn't know where you are. The first thing you should know where you are. I know what you mean. Yes, there should be some consideration there. In one sense, there's nowhere you can go, in one sense, because you're always going to find somebody who's... But that applies to everything. Some people don't like the fact that there are cars on the street. Some people don't like the fact there are policemen on the street. Some people don't like the fact that there's all these weird people dressed the way they are. You're always going to find some people who don't like the way others are. But as much as possible, there's a very big topic. This involves the music, it involves the dress, it involves the dancing, it involves how we interact with people. It involves many things. Many things. But in principle, yes, sensitivity should be there. Now, again, you can't do nothing because in one sense, the law is you can't do it at all. If you really look at the bottom line, you can't do it at all in most places. So you have to be very little sensitive to that and do it in such a way that it doesn't disturb people. Mostly the problem is when we disturb people unnecessarily. They may be disturbed, but they're disturbed by many things and they just walk away and life goes on. So many things that people are disturbed by. But if you sort of perpetuate it and rub it in, then it becomes usually a bit much, We can't stop what we're doing just because some people have some mundane concept. We're definitely not going to do that. But sensitivity should be there, whether it's in the form of whatever it may be. It goes from, as I mentioned already, dress, music, instruments, dance, where we stand, and how we... so many things are involved. But as much as possible, and if a person says, excuse me, please, can you chant somewhere else? Why should I go somewhere else? I was here, I have every right to do this. I'm doing good job to you. I'm doing good service to you. You don't respond like that, do you? You be humble. You're humble. You don't argue and fight with the person. Simple. Sometimes there are exceptions to that, but that's the general principle. We don't want to agitate people unnecessarily. If they're agitated anyway. What can we do? But we don't want to unnecessarily agitate the minds of others, and they become with animosity. They develop animosity. That's not so good. We try to avoid that to a reasonable extent, as much as possible. Give people a fairly good impression. So bear that in mind when you go on Harinam or any activity come like that, that how we impose, and it can be improved. It can be improved. Don't bump people onto the road when you're doing kirtan, which is a common one. Even dancing in circles, it should be in a place where there's plenty of space so they don't have to go on a big detour to get past you. Things like that. Blocking the footpath when it's only very narrow. Be conscious. Other people are singing. Be conscious of their presence. We're not out there to drown them out. That's not our objective. There's many, many things in that regard. It's a subject matter which one learns by experience from others around us, and as you say, common sense. But we're not always armed with common sense. What was that famous philosopher or scientist or something, or was he a literary man? I can't remember. Some famous person said, what was it about common sense? The most uncommon thing in society is common sense. It's the most rarest thing, common sense. Something he said like that. We lose it, we forget. Anyway, that's a kind of a fine line subject matter. Anything else?
If I may ask another question.
If nobody else has a question, we'll take one more.
Have you ever been to jail because of Harinam?
Have I been to jail? That's an interesting question.
And,
I could write a book about that one.
And if yes, then, or if you're maybe other devotees, do they feel like even more protected?
Yeah.
When they have been sent to jail.
Okay, double-barreled question. Interesting question, interesting answer. Going to jail for Harinam or other forms of trying to share Krishna consciousness with others, yes. I don't have a number to give you, but it's a lot of times. And that means I haven't stayed, there have been a few times I've stayed over a few days in jail for that reason, more or less. But generally only for some short period of time, and then they charge you. They have certain orders like this. I remember like 4 years ago, maybe 3, right before we started doing the Rath Yatra in Republic. Rath Yatra was over, the police were really agitated, clear this away from the square. And they were trying to get all the stuff away, and fair enough, they were going on like that. And then I was standing around talking to people, just standing there, nothing to do with the Rath Yatra, talking to some people afterwards. And the police came up to me and they said, "I told you to get out of here an hour ago." Nothing to do with the Rath Yatra. They just told me to get out or we're going to arrest you. So they had these orders. So they had an order in their days, just arrest the Hare Krishnas on obstruction. The charge is obstruction. Oxford Street, only 150,000 people on the street, and everyone's like cramped in like a sardine. And they arrest us for obstruction, and we're not staying still. We're moving along all the time, but we're charged with obstruction. Just the standing order. So then they'd put us in the jail for a while, and then after a few hours, then they charge us and let us out again. But many devotees were locked up for days on end. That only happened to me days on end for this reason only once. But how do you feel? You feel Krishna's protection? Yes, you do indeed. You feel very much so. You don't feel, depends if you're not a devotee or you're just maybe, "Oh my God, what's going on here? I'm out of here. I don't want this to happen again." Depends what level of consciousness you're in, but if you're thinking in terms of Krishna consciousness, you really feel. In fact, Marylebone Police Station is the name of a police station in London. He was the most enthusiastic to get his sergeant, his officers to arrest us every day. Every day. See, Oxford Street is divided left and right. One side is Marylebone Police Station. The other side it was Kensington Police Station, was it? Some other police station. So if you're on this side, those policemen couldn't touch you, and if you're on that side, those policemen. So as soon as we saw the police come in there, we crossed the road to there, and then they come there. We stand in the middle of the road. There's like this neutral stage, and they're both waiting. And they sometimes come along what's called the Black Maria, and they push us all into this truck, and take us off to the police station. And then we had a thing, everyone would run in 10 different directions. If there were 10 of us, everyone would run in 10 different directions. And the police didn't know one this way, one that way, so they get one or two. Anyway, this was a rare daily thing. There were weeks I get arrested every single day of the week. Every day. And for book distribution, same thing. Every day. He knew my name. There's this one constable in Liverpool. "This guy!" He'd come running after the street. I'd be running, he'd run after me, He'd be running down the street. It was like a joke, But that Marylebone one was real good. He was a real funny sergeant, constable, whatever, the sergeant of the police station. Come on, boys, come on, sing, sing, sing. He'd have us singing like anything in the police station. We locked behind bars, we're all singing at the top of our voices, and he'd be like conducting us like this, Okay, that's enough. I'm going to charge you now, get out. Enough of that. But he had this kind of running joke with us. It kind of became friendly after a while, and it's not like that anymore, but it was like that in the beginning, many times. And in some places also, still the doers get arrested, charged, maybe kept in prison for a while, threatened. Still there in some places. It all just depends on Krishna and realizes this is, because it's very purifying for us, we're just taking shelter of the Lord. Simple as that. Whatever situation one's in. And we have so many examples in Shastras. In all Shastras, Christianity has so many examples too. And we have so many in our own line. There's persecution. So much persecution. In society, this is the way the world is. Mode of ignorance, mode of passion. People are so self-centered. So selfish. Don't understand the goal of life. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. We've been in